guys, welcome back. This is By the Book, and we're your married relationship coaches. I'm Sent.
I'm Sil.
And today we're talking about Married at First Sight, season 17, episode 13, I do believe. We haven't talked much about Becca and Austin.
No.
Just wanted to take a few minutes to talk about them today. We've been trying to put out the other fires, and they haven't had one. So we've been talking about the train wrecks and kind of glossed over them so far. Yeah. But a couple of things with them. One, we haven't talked about this with you guys, but one point that Sal and I have talked about amongst ourselves a lot is we think that the spiritual difference between the two of them is pretty significant. And I think Pastor Cal might have done a disservice to them, both in the selection as well as in his counseling with them. So that's food for thought. You let us know what you guys think about that. I don't want to spend a whole bunch of time talking about that because we're so much past that in the season.
Yeah.
But just a point to bring up since we haven't talked about them much throughout. But anyway, this episode, we're looking at the awkwardness of their intimacy. It seemed like from the very beginning, they kind of hit it off. And I actually was surprised that they hadn't consummated the marriage. I think given the strength of, or what seemed like the strength of their relationship by comparison to the other couples. So as the season has progressed and we're seeing like there is a lack of intimacy, wondering kind of what that stems from. Does it harken back to the religious component, or, is it just like a lack of attraction? Do you think?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, let me give my 2 cents on the religious aspect. I agree with you. Pastor Cal, he definitely dropped the ball with this from a spiritual, biblical, Christian standpoint. God doesn't give a much more of an easy layup than that to talk about why Christ came and give the gospel. He went at it from a secular humanist standpoint to basically make her feel good. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of pastors, preachers, bishops, or whoever do for their congregations. They make people feel good, and that's unfortunate. So sometimes you have to tell the truth of the gospel. And I know it's offensive. I realize that it's offensive. And trying to say it across, the TV and say it across Married at First Sight television show, I get that. I get the difficulty of that. However, when you've been called to preach the gospel, and you have to give the gospel. This lady, this woman is saying, hey, I first of all, I don't understand it. Number 2, I don't, whatever little bit I do understand, I don't like it. I don't want to change my life. Well, hey, you don't have to change your life. You can stay right where you are. But let me tell you why Jesus came. And that is the gospel. And I was really saddened by his response to all that. And like my wife said, I'm not going to go any more deeper than that, but I could.
You could, but that would change the complexion of this type of show.
Yeah.
But, I think Pastor Cal is kind of people-pleasing in terms of that. And I don't think that the show, the producers, anything like that want him to go into any of what you just said.
I get it.
So,
but our first calling is to God. That's our first call.
His may not be. So.
Obviously, it's not. The almighty dollar wins out again.
But the issue that I do want to address from this week a little bit more in depth is the lack of intimacy with the two of them. And what you think may be going on, and you guys' thoughts, of course, as well. What's happening? I have my own personal thoughts, but I want you to kind of give me yours first.
Well, he's kind of hard to nail down. I'm about to say peg down because that's obviously what he wants. He wants someone to peg you.
Bizarre to come out of nowhere, though.
Yeah.
Like, he just kind of spit that out there. Maybe that's a fantasy of his. I'm not going to judge. Everybody's got their, like...
Yeah.
thing.
Obviously, the attraction, whatever it is not totally there. I think
You think that's what it is?
He's being very nice. He's being very pleasant. A whole lot more nice than Brennan. Yeah, and and a lot more effective at what he's doing other than Brennan. But it's something not quite right there, and he's not discussing it. So how could things ever turn around and get to the right track that they say that they want to get on when you're not totally honest? And I don't get
you're
it.
assuming that, and I guess it's fair from a male point of view. Like, you feel like that's all it can be. For me, I'm just wondering. I feel like it could be a multitude of things. I think it could be uncomfortable because he's on TV. I
He
think
knew
it
that.
could be. It doesn't matter. Just because you know that, like, we go back and forth with that point a lot. Like, oh, you know what you signed up for, or you know what kind of show you were going to be on. But that doesn't take away from the fact that once you're on it, it may be like, whoa. I mean, it happens all the time. Even people who are not on TV and they get married, they may be like, whoa, this isn't what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Just because I signed up for it, I signed my name on the paper and I went through the ceremony doesn't mean I knew everything to anticipate. So,
But one of the things you don't have to anticipate
but it may
too
make
much.
it uncomfortable.
You know you're going to be on TV. And so, what's the whole thing?
I don't know.
They didn't tell me I was going to be on TV for this television show. I mean,
he may not even thought he would get selected. Honestly, you don't know. You just don't know. And then you get here and you're thrown right into the limelight. And it's like, oh my gosh, like they want me to do these things, and I'm not. He seems like a kind of a little bit shyer guy.
I give you that.
You know, his family is probably judging this situation a little bit. He may feel judged just for bad decisions or odd decisions, non-traditional decisions. Yeah. And also, like, from a spiritual standpoint, too, yeah, you're saying this woman is your wife, but you just met her. His parents may have some judgment that they're casting. So who knows what's making him uncomfortable about it. But one big point that I think, rings true for people, whether they're on a show like this or they're just in a regular relationship, is like the pressure aspect. Yeah. So now that it's been brought up, and he said it himself, she's brought it up several times. And so it's putting so much weight on their intimacy that he can't make a move without feeling like it's being scrutinized. And that's very uncomfortable in any setting. If you feel like, okay, if I act any ways that's out of what I've been doing, then this person is going to be like, oh, and make a big deal out of it. Or, it's going to be broadcast next time we have a confessional. I got to talk about this. Nobody wants to be pressured. Nobody wants to feel that pressure. Yeah. Nobody wants to feel that focus right on what they're doing or what they're not doing. And I think that is making it even more difficult to overcome that hurdle.
I understand what you're saying. However, why is there pressure? You have to take it one step at a time. Why is there pressure?
Because she was ready to take a step that he wasn't ready to take. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But when it becomes frequently talked about, or it becomes an issue, or it becomes like, I don't know, like an overarching theme with the relationship, then it's like, okay, now I can't even relax and get to that point because you like on me like this. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you on me like this and I'm like, wait, I'm not ready. And it's like, are you ready today? Are you ready today? Nobody wants to feel like that. And if he's internalizing that, psychologically, that's going to put him in a bad headspace for taking that next step.
Okay. But again, the pressure is non-pressure. I mean, because even when we look at the religious aspect of it again, briefly, he didn't want to talk about it. Well, can we talk about religion? No, we don't need to talk about that. Okay, so the issue becomes an issue because you don't want to talk about it. And so it's the same thing with this whole thing. Well, it's pressure on me for not wanting to get busy with you. Well, why is there pressure? Because you know what? I could have said something like this that makes a little bit of sense. I like you. I know you like me. but I move slow. And in order for me to move in a healthy way, I have to move slow. And I know we want to get to from A to B to C to D and all the way to Z. But if we rush this thing, we're not going to get past
But
B.
do we know that he hasn't said that?
We haven't seen him say it.
Well, I think he said that he moves slow. I've heard him say that multiple times.
But he hasn't explained why he moves slow. You just can't give the head. First of all, from a man's standpoint, I know. We like to give the headlines and not give any other details. But you have to be able to communicate and give the details. I was a pro before I met my wife at giving headlines and not get into any other details. But did that serve me? Nope. And it ain't serving him either. He's going to have to talk. He's going to have to give more than the headlines and give the reason behind the headline and the details of it.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely seems like the type of person who puts off heavy conversations. Like he wants to kind of sail through the good parts without, putting a lot of pressure on certain things. We've seen that with the spirituality conversation. But I did hear him say more than once that he moves slow. And I hear Becca saying that she moves, maybe she didn't say she moves fast, but more quickly than what this relationship is moving. So I just feel like in any relationship, you see a lot of, when it comes up and the other person isn't just quietly patient, you see a lot of awkwardness in a situation like that. Whether it's the woman who's moving slow or the woman who's moving fast, it just always creates a different level of pressure. Whereas I feel like if the person who wants to move more quickly just is quiet and waits for a minute instead of demanding all these answers and discussions, then they get a lot further with the other person without making them feel awkward about it. So, I mean, that's neither here nor there at this point because it's already happened. But I feel like it wouldn't be a big thing if she kind of hadn't made it a big thing. And now it's very awkward for him. But it looks like they might have gotten over that hump.
Possibly. They could have made a bigger hump. We're going to see. We're going to see.
I don't know. No, but I mean, as they close out the episode this week, it looks like, you don't think they consummated?
They possibly did consummate, but that doesn't mean that whatever issue that was started, it doesn't mean that just because they consummated, that issue is completely done.
True.
It could have just got kicked down the street a little bit further, or that snowball could have grown into a bigger snowball. Just because you had sex doesn't necessarily put out a fire. I mean,
it doesn't unless all it was getting over that hump. Like, okay, now that awkwardness is over with, now we can move forward. So maybe it works like that. Hopefully for them it works like that. Hopefully for Married at First Sight it works like that, because this is like the only hope that they have for a successful couple this season.
They got Michael going around to being one more time, second time's a charm.
To be honest, and I don't think we have time to do a video on them right now, but it doesn't look like a good match to me. I mean, they both might just be desperate enough to make it through, but it didn't strike me as like, oh, that's who they should have paired him with. I'm not getting that from her.
Not necessarily.
I'm not getting that from her at all.
He's a strange kind of guy, so the match has to be very much on point.
That's true.
And he definitely marches to his own drum beat. So, I hope it does work out well for him, though.
Yeah, because he seems like a quality guy.
Yeah.
Weird, but quality.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Now we done started talking about a whole other thing. So
yeah, we have, but look, we got a baby in our laps.
Yeah.
That's looking at me in my mouth as I speak right now. But so yeah, we're doing the best we can. But anyway, guys, back to Becca and Austin.
Yeah.
Just curious, do you guys think they did consummate? Do you think that's going to resolve some issues for them? Was this made for TV drama because they don't have any drama? Maybe they didn't even have any problems and they just want to make it look like, hey, everybody's struggling here. Sometimes I think that they do that with some of the couples. They kind of manufacture some drama and there's the baby's hand. So let us know what you guys think about that. That's all I have for Becca and Austin. That's the last hope for this show, for this season, for this train wreck of a season. Drop those comments, guys, below. Like, share, and subscribe. We'll talk to you all soon.
We'll be back to talk about Brennan and Emily. Bye.